really a privilege and an honor to welcome to the program my guest today. He is the host of the Operator podcast and the author of the book, The Operator. He is, in fact, the Navy SEAL who finished the mission to find and eliminate Osama bin Laden. My pleasure to welcome to the program former Navy SEAL Robert O'Neill. Rob, how are you?
I'm well, my friend. Thanks for having me.
Well, Rob, it's a pleasure to have you on. First of all, I think the first interaction that you and I ever had, you sent me a DM on Twitter about 3 or 4 years ago. You were on an airplane wearing your Joe Louis is 137 years old shirt.
That's
I'm
still
there,
my favorite shirt.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for following Super 70s and for your patronage as well. Look, Rob, you occupy a singular place in American history. Hard for me to imagine. You were the guy who stood there and killed Osama bin Laden in his own residence. I can't even begin to know where I want to start with this, but I suppose I'll start here. What were your memories of 9/11? We all have a 9/11 story. I was on my way to the University of Louisville where I was a teaching assistant, and I heard on the radio that a building was on fire, and then the details started coming in, and of course I remember that day as we all do. Before you knew how your life was going to carry out, take me back to 9/11, 2001 for yourself.
I was at SEAL Team 2 on 9/11. So I joined the Navy in 1996. So I was there pre-9/11, then I was at SEAL Team 2, and we just finished a mission in Kosovo where I was employed as a sniper. Not a lot going on, but at the time, we thought it was really high speed that you're out there with a real gun in a real place. So then I got done with that 40-day mission in Kosovo and then went back to Germany where we have a unit. And, cleaned the gear, got it ready to go again. Then I was sending emails, catching up on admin stuff in the operations center when we had the TV on, and all of a sudden they said, well, a small plane just hit one of the buildings. And so we're looking at it and we're like, well, we've been there. Those are big buildings. That's a huge hole. I don't think that's a small plane. And we were talking about that, me and some other SEALs. And then the second plane was hit. The second tower was hit by the second plane. And we realized we were under attack. And it was only a matter of seconds before one of the guys in the room said Osama bin Laden. We'd been aware of Al-Qaeda. They'd bombed embassies before they hit the USS Cole in Yemen. Bin Laden declared a fatwa in the United States. They were mad at us ever since Desert Shield, Desert Storm, because we're not supposed to be in the Holy Land. And then we just knew we assumed we'd be sent to Africa, probably Sudan. But what we did know is our lives just changed. And the fun trips we used to take around Europe as Navy SEALs to, Lithuania or Norway, places in Germany and the UK, those are over. And we're going to find Al-Qaeda. Now we're going to go fight. So that was basically the mindset there, already deployed overseas.
Rob, this guy was the, most wanted man on the planet for a decade. And I think it was frustrating for so many of us, right? Because you see, 9/11, not just the loss of life, but just the way that it happened, the desperate people who were jumping from 90 plus floors above the street because that was the best option that they had. Just things that you couldn't have even imagined until it happened and it became reality. What were your thoughts during the period of time where bin Laden was successfully hiding out and evading justice?
Well, at first, I thought that Delta was going to get him at Tora Bora. They had him surrounded, and obviously just because of negotiations, he escaped. But after that, after a couple of years, because I've been fighting in Afghanistan and then Iraq and other places around the Middle East, I thought bin Laden was gone. I thought he was a ghost. I knew someone somewhere would protect him. But I thought we'd never find him. But unbeknownst to us, the CIA was tracking him, and they had a team led by a woman, and they were on him. But they were so good at keeping it secret. I don't think even the president, I don't think President Bush knew. I don't think President Obama knew what they were up to until it was almost time to go. And obviously Obama was in office, so he was just a ghost. And it was actually it was weird. I was what's called a battlefield interrogator. And that's the best way to get intel off of terrorists is once you take their house down, whoever's alive, start interrogating them now because they're stressed because there's a bunch of huge Americans with green faces in there at night. And I would, ask them questions about certain things. And then, no kidding, in an interrogation, I would say, all right, where's bin Laden? And the terrorists would just laugh. It's like, he doesn't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. It's almost like, yeah, no one's ever going to find him. So that was the mentality. And almost like, I hope I meet the guy who eventually kills him because someone's going to find him, but it was never going to be my team. So that was, I mean, we're doing good stuff. We went after some high value targets. We got in a lot of gunfights with Al Qaeda. We killed a bunch of Al Qaeda. But yeah, just bin Laden wasn't going to be found. We pretty much came to peace with that.
Well, Rob, when it started to come together, the mission that ultimately where you took bin Laden's life, what was the lead up to that like? How much advance notice did you have? What was the preparation like heading to this? And when you got there, what type of outcome were you expecting? Because I've heard you before say that you expected that you would probably die during that mission. Can you kind of just take regular folks like me through the mentality that you deal with as a SEAL when you're facing that kind of mission?
Well, at first they didn't tell us who it was. The way that it started, because we just finished another deployment to Afghanistan and we were all on different trips. I was in Miami doing some combat diving. There were guys out in Vegas doing rock climbing. And you can sort of tell we go to good cities to do training because you're going to have some fun and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, about 28 of us got recalled to Virginia. So we went back to Virginia off our good deal trips and we went into a room and all they said at first was, we found a thing and this thing is in a house and this house is in a bowl in these mountains. And you're going to go to this house and get this thing and bring it back to us and show us. And so we started off with, okay, what's the thing? Well, we can't tell you. Okay. Well, which country? Can't tell you. Okay. How are we getting there? Can't tell you. Okay. How much air support do we have? None. Okay. That was how it went down. And all they really told us was that we weren't allowed to bring our Air Force guys who are our combat controllers, the guys that call in the big bombs, who are basically the most dangerous men on a battlefield, and then the pararescue guys who are the best surgeons on the battlefield. We're not bringing them because we're saving weight for something. So we didn't know what it was. And we were getting our gear ready to, carry extra radios or whatnot. And then they finally brought us to a place in North Carolina a few days later. And that's when the woman who found bin Laden came in front of us with the commanding officer of SEAL Team 6. And they said to the room, the reason you guys are here is this is as close as we've ever been to Osama bin Laden. And that's when it got real. We kind of looked around. No, there was no high fives. We're just like, okay, cool. Are we going right now? Because the preparation was the combat we'd already been in forever. And most guys at this point had been in over 400 combat missions. So we knew what we were doing on every target and we'd fine tune our skills. So it wasn't a problem. You can send us anywhere and we'll figure it out. I mean, keep it simple. Our tactics were easy. If the guy in front of you goes left, you go right, keep doing that over and over and over and you'll be fine. So that was it. And then they wanted us to train. So we trained on a site they had built in North Carolina that looked like the exterior of his house. And we're just showing the leadership, the president, what we can do. Because there was like 5 options. So we don't need to prep. It's good to see a map and know where we're going, but we didn't need that, but we did it. 5 options, a bunch of bombs, a multilateral mission with Pakistan, which we all laughed at because we're like, you tell any Pakistan soldier we're coming to get bin Laden, he's gone. And then it was just us. So, we showed them what we could do, what we were capable of. So as opposed to dropping 22 2,000-pound bombs on a house and blowing up an entire city block, you can send us and we'll go in there and be precise. And what President Obama eventually told us was, I was never convinced that bin Laden was there, but after seeing you, I was convinced you guys could go in, figure it out, and come back, which is pretty cool for him to say it like that. And that's what they ended up going with. So, we trained for about 2 weeks. We went to Afghanistan to stage, and it was a weird time being in Afghanistan. I remember watching the NFL draft, and I was on a treadmill thinking the Redskins need an offensive tackle. Who are they going to? And then on the treadmill, all of a sudden realizing it doesn't matter to me. I guess I'm going to be dead next week. So that was the mindset. But it was what an ending to a story. We're going on this mission. It's a one-way mission, but we're going for the people who didn't need to die on 9/11, for the first people to fight Al Qaeda toe-to-toe to the death, and that was the passengers on United 93. We're going because of that, and this is just we could not go. And you could take yourself off at any time if you're afraid, if you want to see your kids. But like the Braveheart thing with you could live for a while, but then on your deathbed, would you give every day that you lived from then until now for one shot at this? And we all did. We all wanted it. We talked about it. Why we know we're going to die. Why are we going? And we went back to 9/11. It's like, well, when we die, it's going to be together. So this is an awesome story, I guess.
It's incredible is what it is, Rob. I mean, okay, so take me. You're there that night. You're on the ground. You're searching for him. Take me through the moment to where you encountered Bin Laden.
Well, the perfect plan went right to shit off the bat because we were supposed to put a helicopter in front of the building and a hover to fast rope guys down, dropped some guys from my helicopter off outside for perimeter. Then my team was going to the rooftop. That was the perfect plan. That all stopped when the first helicopter crashed in the front yard. And he crash landed because the pilot, because of different environmental problems, it was warmer, the fences were different or whatever. And the pilot had to put it down. He told me later if he would have tried to power up like an inexperienced pilot would have, he would have flipped it and killed everybody. But he realized if he could put the tail of that helicopter on the 20-foot mud fence and pin the nose in the dirt, he might save everyone. And he made that decision in the blink of an eye and saved everyone. So because of that, my helicopter got let off outside. So we're outside the compound, but we knew every aspect of the exterior. So we just decided to go off to the left. I remember looking at Bin Laden's house over the wall when I got at the helicopter. And I was like, well, I guess we start the war from here. But I knew off to my left there was a double door. So we went up there, put a 7-foot charge of C6, which is bigger than C4, and that'll open anything. And it blasted open. It opened like a tin can, but there was a brick behind it, a brick wall behind it. And the guy that set the charge said, failed breach, this is bad. And I said, no, this is good, because that's a fake door, and nobody does that. He's in there. So now I know these two double doors off to my right, they do open because cars have come in and out. So I'm going to go blast that door. And I didn't know the helicopter had crashed in the front yard. So I told them, hey, this is so-and-so, I'm going to blast the carport. And they said, well, don't blast it. We'll just open it. And the door opened all of a sudden, and a glove came out with a thumbs up that I recognized. And I didn't know they crashed. I don't know how they're in there, but now I'm in a point of life where it doesn't matter why we're here. We just are. And that's an analogy I bring up, like when I talk to football teams, it's to the offense. Doesn't matter why it's 2nd and 15, guys, it just is. And what we have in common is the clock's ticking. What are you going to do about it now? We can talk about that later if we live. So there's already guys in a gunfight. So I decided I'm going right to Bin Laden's house. So I went in there. I got into the hallway, and the guys were in front of me. They already killed 2 terrorists in that house, and they were doing their job down the hallway. So I moved into a room, and I was looking for bombs that were going to blow us up. But I remember being so impressed with my team, how proud of them I was, because they know they could die right now too, but they're not letting it stop them. They're assessing situations, and they're escalating as needed as far as like breaching, kick the door, mechanical breach, blow the door, stuff like that. And our saying is slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And the guys were doing it. I was very proud. But I'm in the back. So we did that. We went through the first floor. That's where most of the families and the kids were. And then we went up to the second floor, about 8 guys at this point, because you got to leave guys behind to watch certain things, unknowns and stuff like that. We ran into Khalid bin Laden on the stairs, but we were quiet. We're really good about being silent. We don't talk. Whenever I see movies and people are yelling, fire in the hole or go, 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 it's like, shut up, dude. Like, just tell them where you are. All you're doing is scaring everybody. Shut up. Wherever the front guy's pointing, just follow him. So we were quiet. We were blacked out, and it ran into Khalid. He whispered something to him. It confused Khalid. He came around the corner armed, and he blasted him. We went up those stairs, went to the second floor, and most of the guys in front of me went left and right because, again, you want to cover the unknowns, the open spaces, the doors, the people before you go to the next level. But the guy that was at the bottom of the stairs to the final floor, the third floor, he was pointing up at a curtain, and there were people moving behind it. He's by himself. Other guys are left and right. So I went up to him and turned into what we call the number 2 man. So my job now, his job is to look forward, keep the gun pointing and your eyes forward. My job is to control him with my hand on his shoulder or his leg. And when I squeeze him, that's letting him know we have enough guys go. So he doesn't need to turn around and drop security. He just knows by effective communication again. So I'm holding him, and I'm waiting for more guys, but we're out. And he starts telling me that we got to go because those are suicide bombers, but we can beat them, but we got to go right now. And I remember thinking he's right. And I wasn't being brave at all. I was thinking, well, I'm going to blow up now. I'm just tired of thinking about it. So I squeezed him. And he went up. He went through the curtain at the top of the stairs. And the people he assumed were suicide bombers, he actually sort of tackled them, moved them out of the way, which is incredible to me how he doesn't have a Medal of Honor because he assumed they were going to kill him, but he's giving up his life for the guy behind him. He didn't know it was me. He knew it was one of his guys, and that guy's going to get the shot at bin Laden. So he did his job. Because he went left, I went right. And then there's Osama bin Laden standing there. His wife Amal is in front of him. She'd been shot in the leg, but she's shorter than him. He's taller than I thought, and I was impressed with how skinny he was. But that's his nose. He's a threat. He's not surrendering. Osama bin Laden had about maybe a millisecond to convince me not to kill him, which he didn't do. So I shot him twice in the head, and I shot him again on the floor in the head. And then I moved them all out of the way, his wife, because other SEALs will get here, and we're the good guys. I don't want her to get hurt any more than she already is. So I moved her back to the back of the room near the head of the bed. And then his son, his 2-year-old son was there. And this is the human aspect of a lot of combat. You know, I'm a father. I'm looking at this 2-year-old. I just killed his dad in front of him. And as a father, I'm like, I don't care what his last name is. This kid has nothing to do with this. And he shouldn't have seen this. And then it starts to sink in. I go back to bin Laden's body. I need to take pictures and whatnot, but I'm sort of standing over him. I can hear him exhaling his last breath. He just got shot 3 times in the head, so it's not pretty to look at. And one of my guys comes up to me and he goes, hey, man, are you good? And I said, I think so, but what are we supposed to do now? Because I'm kind of in a daze. And he laughed and he goes, well, now we go find the computers, man. We do this every night, hundreds of times. We go find the intel all the time. And I said, yeah, you're right. I'm back. Holy shit. And he said, yeah, you just killed Osama bin Laden. Your life just changed. Now get to work.
Rob, I'm sure something like that hits you in waves over a long period of time. What were the next 6 months, year of your life like after that, coming to terms with, fully realizing that you were the man that took out the most wanted person on the planet?
Yeah, I mean, the guy was right too. My life did change, and I wasn't looking for that. My new plan was to stay in the Navy for 30 years and just grow a power mustache and smoke cigars while I yell at kids, students, not kids. That's just rude. But then that happened. It's like, well, I don't know. But we were on a high. This team just did the most impressive thing in, SEAL team history, but the most important mission in modern history. And so we're going to be best friends, and we're on a high in 2011 in May, June, July. But then on August 6th, we lost a helicopter called Extortion 17. And we lost 31 Americans, to include Bart the dog, and a lot of SEAL Team 6 guys that I knew were on it. So we lost an entire troop of some of the best guys in the world. So now we went from planning missions to planning funerals, and that's when morale took a complete dump. Obviously, how are you going to recover from that? So I was going to get out of the Navy in January of 2012. That was my end of obligated service. But because that helicopter went down, I said, send me back to Afghanistan. I'm going to extend for a year. And that was because, we need experience over there because we lost so many guys, but also I'm proving to SEAL Team 6 especially that I'm not here to write a book. I came in through the front door. I'm going to go to war again, then I'm going to leave through the front door. That's the whole plan. And I'm going to get out with the attitude that the Navy doesn't owe me anything, but I don't owe them anything either. So we did that, and it was harrowing because of going back to combat, but then the realization that I'm not going to retire and I need to get a job, and I don't know what I'm qualified for because I don't have a degree. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do. And fortunately, I have enough leave acquired where I was able to take about 5 months off, but I'm still getting paid because I had so much leave. But then, August 26, 2012, I remember calling the Navy, the VA, and said, "Hey, I'm out today. What's the grace period on health care for my kids?" And they said, "None. They're done. They're not covered as of midnight tonight." And I was like, "Well, all right. Thanks for my service, I guess." And then I just figured it out. I learned through friends and through asking questions. I had friends in DC and New York and San Francisco that a lot of employers want people with the skills that special operators bring that I had. They want to hire guys that know how to manage stress, how to effectively communicate, like I was saying, how to manage teams, lead and be led. And that means, not the leadership of a triangle where it's top down, but it's more fluid. Whoever has the best tactical, physical place is in charge right now. And that's what companies want, especially with, people getting out of college with a degree in gender studies. They'd rather hire a special operator and teach them the job. So I learned that. And then, I did get some jobs. I turned into a keynote speaker talking about, not, leadership, but telling people why we were successful as a high-performing team and the traits common and how they're applicable. So that's what I started doing. And then I started a foundation called Special Operators Transition Foundation to tell special operators, Army, Marines, Navy SEALs, that too, and then introduce them to different companies. And the companies have been happy. And it's not even like we're giving you a hand up. It's like we're making the economy better because I'm going to give you the best employee you've ever had. So it's a difficult country. Like even right now in 2025, I'm still not sure what my job is, but it's definitely never a dull moment.
Well, tell me about the podcast because the Operator podcast is quite popular. You've got a huge following on social media now. Your Twitter follower number is way up there, and I follow your tweets closely, and you're commenting on what's going on in the world today. I mean, it's you occupy. It's sort of like myself in a weird sense because people ask me, well, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I started a Twitter account and I have a talk show, and I guess that's what I do. Tell me about your life today and the opportunities that you're pursuing now.
Well, now, first of all, you're the best follow on Twitter X now, by the way. And I like to say that because
thank you.
I tell people if they follow me on X, you got to realize you got to take some of it with a grain of salt because I'm not always serious. Like it's just fun. So that, I got a good following there and it's a blast. But then I started the podcast called The Operator because I'm not calling myself the operator. What I'm saying is if you're doing something that positively affects anyone, you're an operator. And what I'm going to do as a former special operator, I'm going to tell you my opinion on things, everything from history, current events, sports. And I want to hear from you as an operator in the comments. Tell me, and if I'm wrong, I'll correct myself or give me some new topics and stuff like that. And like the realization that there are people out there with thankless jobs that are making the world a better place. And the examples I have are the trash man in Manhattan who, says goodbye to his family at 2 a.m., gets no thanks, but he cleans the streets. He's operating. He's an operator. The single mom's an operator because she's raising her kids but doesn't get thanks. So I like to hear from them. I like to talk to them. So that's what we do on the podcast. And plus I get to sit here in studio and sometimes I have guests, which are great, but sometimes I can just yell at a camera and say whatever I want. And I'm enjoying it. It's successful. I have a lot of fun and good following.
Well, it's good stuff, man. Listen, thank you so much for coming on. It's an honor,
of course,
as I said, to have you on. You are truly an American hero. And let's get you on again sometime a few months down the road. And let's just talk about the dumb shit that we liked when we were growing up or whatever. We'll just completely do it for fun and humor next time.
I don't have a degree from college, but I do have a degree in talking dumb shit, so we can definitely do that.
All right, my man. All right. He is Rob O'Neill. Thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate it. God bless you.